Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? We are going to have a live review on the Constitution. I'm not sure where most people are in terms of their classes. This is around where where classes should be. My class is right around the American Revolution here, so in the American pageant, it's Chapter 7. I'm not sure where some other people are in terms of it here. So we have a little fiveable here. We have a little dog here, a little happy, a little ukulele. Ukuleles are just happy, except for Shut Aquarium. I don't know if anybody's ever been there in Chicago. They have like a little kind of sad little thing there about Earth and stuff with the ukulele. But normally, ukuleles are a lot of fun. All right, so hopefully everybody is good and ready to learn about the Constitution. Okay, seeing some more people joining us here. That makes me happy. Hello, everyone. And so I figured we'd start off with this cute little dog and this ukulele. I don't have a dog. We have 2 cats. I'd like a dog. Okay. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram here. So there's a fiveable here. And so lots of different ways to contact us here. Me, I'm at DFilippo APUSH is how to reach me on Twitter. And so it's by far the easiest way to, if you have any questions or anything after this here. So feel free to follow me on that. I'm going to try to put a lot of good things on there and a lot of helpful things. All right, seeing people get added here. Very good. So again, you have at Think Fiveable. That's the best way on Twitter there. Then Fiveable is also on Instagram, YouTube, nice YouTube channel as well with a lot of good Fiveable stuff. All right, little introduction here. My name is Patrick DeFilippo, and I'm starting my 20th year here at Oak Lawn Community High School. It's a diverse area in the southwest suburbs of Chicago. Been teaching teaching AP or before that honors U.S. history for about 17 years. I like to focus a lot on writing and content. Both of those, I try to make a nice balance. A lot of people think, you go skills and less content, or more content, less skills. I'm trying to be kind of a mixture of those two. All right. Hello, everyone. So getting a lot of highs there. Hello. And I think one of the key things is high expectations. I expect a lot from my classes, and I think that all AP teachers should. It's supposed to be a challenge, and so hopefully students feel that way. In terms of what we're doing today here in this stream, we are going to be, hopefully everything's nice and smooth. Everybody can see everything, right? We are going to be dealing, I'm saying too much. Is bad to say. Now we're saying review of the Articles of Confederation. We're going to take a look at that. Will just did one, but we're going to take a look at that. We're going to discuss Period 3. We're going to talk about topics 3.8 and 3.9, Constitutional Convention and the Constitution. We are going to talk about different ideological positions. We're going to talk about continuities and change over time. We're going to talk about politics and power. Okay, Draymond, thank you very much. Love this stream. Love that you're watching it here. I'm going to try to be entertaining. I'm a little goofy, so I try to be entertaining. And I want you to enjoy history. I think that the biggest part about this class is to enjoy it. Enjoy it. Find out what the past has been like, and try to and try to enjoy it. Thank you, Omar. Goofy is a good word to describe. Yes, thank you. And so we have a lot of things in here, and there will be some goofiness, I promise that. So, little bell ringer here. So I thought that we'd kind of start off a little bit with taking a look at some questions that have to do with the articles, because you can't really start a Constitution talk unless you start with the articles. So there was just a live review on the articles, and I don't want to repeat exactly what there was, but I do want to talk about some things and some resources and things like that. So number one, one of the best resources you can find is here with Fiveable, and we get lots of hits on this. What it is it's just a list of some common SAQ, some common LEQ, if you don't know what those are, short answer questions, long answer questions, and DBQs, document-based questions. And the team here at Fiveable organized it all over the last several years. You can see this at the fiveable.me/us/APUSH essays, prompts. Lots of good stuff in this. This is one of the places that students go a lot. And I figured we look at this 2017 SAQ. Okay, so, and I was thinking we can kind of do this one together. So first, the prompt is briefly explain one specific historical development represents an accomplishment of the national government under the Articles of Confederation. We're going to call it AOC, not to be confused with the Congresswoman of New York, but we're going to just say AOC because it's a lot shorter than Articles of Confederation each time. Number two, briefly explain one specific argument critics talk about in the 1780s to support revising the Articles. And number three, briefly explain one specific way in which the United States Constitution addresses a criticism of the Articles. So I think before we get started, why don't, it's like 3 points. Yeah, I think the SAQ, that's the right attitude to have there. So to have that, that concept that the SAQ is like free points that we can get, you bet. So let's take a look at, anybody know any accomplishments of the Articles? First of all, have you gotten here first? That's the number one. Are we doing a review or a preview today? When I was scheduling this out, I was using the days that the College Board suggested it. And all right, so Zachary, very good. Northwest Land Ordinance there. Okay, very good. We're going to talk about that. That is definitely somewhat of a forward-thinking success here of the Articles. Nice. Anybody else? So just write down really quick. Let me know, preview or review? For me, a preview. Okay, so Zachary, preview. So if you want just preview, review, it's going to kind of help me judge how long of wait time. Okay, that's a big education term. Wait time is how long I should give you on some of this here. So let's move on here, and let's maybe take a quick look at some of the accomplishments. I think there's quite a few accomplishments here for our first government. A lot of people don't know a lot about the Articles of Confederation at all. So here are some of the strengths or arguments. So any of these would have gotten you your first point on the SAQ. So I like ACE. I'm not sure what some of your teachers are saying about it. The one complaint is people say, well, you're not always going to have something to cite, right? There's not always going to be a document. When I say cite, I just kind of give examples and then explain. So that's how I mean by ACE for answering short answer. But any of these things would have been like that. Let me see what Jacob has to say, because it's sometimes hard to fully use it. I agree. And, it may be too much sometimes for the SAQ. You have to have a method. What do you have a different one there? So, let's take a look here. So the accomplishments. So Articles of Confederation government, they made an alliance with France. Now, if you're in the middle of the American Revolution or you're getting there, that is very important that you understand that that is one of the keys to the American Revolution and winning. And who got that alliance going? The Articles of Confederation government. What else is there? They ran the war for independence. They negotiated the treaty that ended the American war for independence, for the American Revolution there. They made sure to kind of have some granting of privileges and immunity for free citizens. We're going to talk about that word free citizens. We're going to take a look at this in some of the downfalls of the Constitution too a little bit. We're going to talk about how it even laid out admission for Canada if Canada wanted. The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 allowed Northwest territories to organize their own governments. What are some of the states that are going to be in this Northwest territory at some time here? Very good. Ohio, nice. And what else would kind of eventually be part of this old Northwest territory here? Okay, Ohio. What else? We'd have Indiana, right? And even eventually, okay, we would eventually, and eventually have Illinois as well. So this whole area just east of the Mississippi River. Good. We have the Articles of Confederation. Government allowed for eventual admission of the Union to several states there that are eventually going to be in. They banned slavery in the territory. So, as this country is fighting over the slave issue, it is not going on in this Northwest territory. So that is a big one. And so we are definitely going to be taking a long look at that. So before I move on here, well, here. And I also have some of my students here. I figured that, so you see some different people.
Hi, my name's
so you don't
Veronica,
just
and I'm a
hear
junior.
me.
My question is, what were some of the problems with the Articles of Confederation?
Okay, so what were some of the problems of the Articles of Confederation? So that kind of goes along with our second one, right? So we're going to be taking a look at that. So some of the weaknesses, some people would say it was too loose, kind of just like a friendship. No power to coin money. Each state was coining its own money. And a lot of these states were getting into debt because of it. Some of them weren't even paying back loans that they had taken and other things. So that was a big one, right? Because then foreign countries won't want to trade with you if they don't think you're actually going to pay it back. Each state developed its own currency, unable to regulate interstate and foreign commerce. Some states caused problems in foreign trade by refusing to pay. Congress unable to impose taxes. Congress could only borrow money on credit. No national court system to protect the rights. No executive branch to enforce the laws. Amendments could only be added with the approval of all 13 states. Could you imagine if all our states, all 50 states had to agree today? Do you think that would be possible? I think you'd have a tough time having a lot of states agree, right? Say California and, I don't know, Wyoming or something. So a lot of differences there. And to have all 13 states there at the time agree, very difficult. Approval of 9 of 13 were required to pass a law, all 13 for an amendment there. So that is a pretty difficult thing to get here. So that was definitely a criticism of the Articles of Confederation. Okay, we have Omar who's on this here. And here's Omar's question. Whoops, maybe not. I don't know what happened to Omar's question. We'll go back. Okay, Omar had a question. What he asked, sorry, Omar. I don't know why it skipped. Let me go back here really quick. We're going to go back to, well, we don't want to leave Omar's question out here. Okay, here's Omar's question.
Hi, my name's Omar. I'm a junior. And what was Shays Rebellion about?
Okay, what was Shays Rebellion about? Anybody want to answer that? Yes, it does. It looks like you, Omar. Anybody want to answer what Shays Rebellion is about? It's a farm thing, right? We have lots of farm things, right? We have, okay, very good here. So it is about that idea of that these were Western farmers in Massachusetts. So all these rebellions that have to do with these farmers, you should definitely pay attention to, because they almost all make the test in some way. Well, the most important thing here, probably about Shays Rebellion here, but before I go into that, I want to look at a quick quote here. I like this quote here from Thomas Jefferson here. So before we get too far into Shays Rebellion here, a little rebellion now and then is a good thing for the tree of liberty. What is he saying there? Okay, Draymond is a very fast typer if he had all that other. What is Jefferson saying? What is he saying with this? A little rebellion now and then is a good thing for the tree of liberty. What is he saying there? I like that quote. Tried to throw in a couple quotes here and there. I think it's always a good idea to take a look at those. Okay?
Hi, I just want to.
Yeah, wait, what are you, sorry, I'm on a stream thing. Okay, it's okay. So in terms of it, sorry about that. And so what do you think he's saying? I think it's a maintenance worker that I wasn't sure. I'm kind of here later than I normally am in my classroom. So, what is he saying there in terms of it? You guys are funny. It's the tree of that these kind of things are actually good. They kind of make the government aware that that people can kind of rebel against what's going on there. So let's take a look here. What is Shays Rebellion here? It is Western Massachusetts farmers angry at the government there. There's a horrible economic downturn after the war. We talked about how each state is coining money. We're talking about debt. We have agriculture hard hit by the downturn, high taxes, debtors thrown in jail. Okay, debtors thrown in jail. This is from before. What colony was started as a place for debtors? Anybody remember that from earlier when you were learning about your colonies there, your 13? Okay. South Carolina, probably a little bit of that, but a little bit further south. I guess you can't really say further south. There's some parts of South Carolina that are further south than this state, but in general, a little bit further south. What are we talking about here? Okay, not quite that south. We're in between there. Okay. Oh, we have a lot of them. Georgia, remember James Oglethorpe? Okay. Also a buffer zone as well. All right. There we go. Buffer zone also. All right. So let's take a look here. So many debtors thrown in jail. Some of these were American revolutionary heroes like Daniel Shay. So these foreclosures, people are losing their farms, so they start to arm themselves. They are very unhappy with this government. So with this Articles of Confederation government here. So what is the overall result here? Okay, so what's the result here? We have farmers called for paper money to increase inflation. That's what they wanted. Often debtors want to increase inflation. Groups called the regulators wanted reforms. Okay, you're going to have to know that the idea of regulators, there's a couple different regulator movements. They're all about reform. There's a lot of this backcountry versus what do we call those fancier plantation owners and stuff like that in the South? What do we call some of that? So there's some of that, the people who live closer to the water. Anybody know? People in my class should know what this is here. Got a couple of them on here. What do we call that? Yeah, they're definitely slave owners. You know, they call them tidewater gentry, like the idea of the old, you know, kind of the European way there. Okay. Oh, always like a joke there. Okay. Thank you, Hiba there. All right. Gentry is like is a word for kind of the lords and stuff like that of feudal Europe. So tidewater gentry, that's people who live close to the ocean. Just you know, for the people who have the, you know, even today, right? Is it more expensive to live by the ocean than it is in a more inland place, right? Tidewater gentry, you know, that's with a G there, gentry, and so you know, even today, right? Probably more expensive to live in you know, Miami than it is to live in, let's say, Tallahassee, Florida, right? Okay, so we're up north here, so you know, think about Boston versus some of the areas in more of the mountains there of Massachusetts is obviously going to be a little bit cheaper. And those are going to be the people who feel that the government doesn't respond to them. Okay. So is that a pretty common thing even today? Do some people feel that government at times doesn't respond to them? Sure. Okay. There's a lot of people who feel that way. And so that's not a completely new idea here. Let's take a look at what else came out of this Daniel Shays Rebellion here. Large mobs led by Daniel Shay there. And they were originally just releasing people from these debt prisoners, releasing them. They did start to arm themselves. Eventually, the rebels did dismantle, and they were pardoned by John Hancock after there was, you know, some amount of violence, and some of these people in Daniel Shays Rebellion were killed in an event there. I believe the number was 3. Congress could not raise taxes. Congress could not pay the militia. All 13 states needed to amend. Calls for revising the articles, a lot of the things that we've already kind of touched on, right? All right, so let's continue on here. Okay, like some of the jokes there. Okay, and here's a question by Jamal.
Hi, I'm Jamal. I'm a junior. And why did they call the Constitutional Convention?
Okay, so why did they call the Constitutional Convention? What brought them to the point where they're going to have a meeting about this form of government, and they're going to decide what to do about it, right? So the Articles of Confederation was just a loose agreement there. Similar examples there, the Iroquois Confederacy, the EU. Okay, so we have right to revise the articles. Very nice, good. And did John Hancock pay taxes? Oh, good question there. What was John Hancock known for? You know, during the whole American Revolution and before that, where did he and Samuel Adams kind of make a lot of money and success with? Anybody? Okay, very good. That he would try to avoid tax. He was a smuggler. Okay, so he would help people smuggle goods to avoid, you know, to avoid the taxes. So, you know, he's basically trying to avoid taxes. We still have, you know, people who try to do this. You know, whether, you know, some celebrities and stuff like that have gotten into trouble. I have no idea why I'm about to say people. I don't even know about the word celebrity. But if you ever watch Jersey Shore, anybody? Mike the Situation. So he is one of those people. Went to jail for a while. Wesley Snipes. He was an actor. He had quite a bit of money, and he tried to avoid taxes. So certainly John Hancock was not the only person who did these things over the course of the history of this country, but you know, Al Capone and So a lot of these people, though, wind up serving time for these things. Let's continue on here. So Shays Rebellion here shows the weakness. It's like a big, showing that, that there is a big problem with this government. Okay, and so that is a big part of it here. The Congress has very little power to tax, has very little power to regulate, has trade, commerce. If there was a debate between two states, there was nothing that the Articles could really do about it. Congress unable to make effective international agreements. Again, what were some of the states doing? Some of the states weren't even paying back their things with their agreements with other countries. They could restrict states from harmful actions against economic interests of other states. They couldn't even step in there. Many worried about you losing liberty by having this constitutional convention. Now, did they immediately think they were going to start a whole new government? Was that the original goal? Okay, many athletes are accused of avoiding taxes. I think it's like, Pete Rose, if you know who that is, people who make money in another way. Congress was pathetic back then. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and so nothing's changed. Oh, it's Congress has a pretty low approval rating. Really quite a bit of our government. Obviously, the president, his approval rating has not been extremely high. Congress has not been high. There's a lot of things that don't always have high approval ratings there, though. So it's kind of interesting, though. It's a good point there. But Congress really didn't have a lot of power. They were limited by what the Articles of Confederation allowed them to do. And you can debate about how much power, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit. All right, so this Constitutional Convention, okay, it was closed, okay? 13 states sent their representatives there. The meeting took place in Philadelphia, okay, and it started off in May and it ended in September. Okay, their original plan was to just amend it, okay, just to amend it. That was the original plan. Does that change? It does. Okay, it changes a lot. Delegates decided to the Articles that they had to be replaced. States needed to compromise because there's a lot of different feelings here. George Washington was nominated to be president. They needed somebody who could command a lot of respect. And James Madison is a pretty young guy. What does he become known as? Does anybody know what James Madison, what kind of title he has after this Constitutional Convention? What do people start kind of referring to him as? Well, okay, that one there with the teenager, are you talking about the, that was actually in front of the UN. Are you talking about the, why is it so difficult to pass laws under the Articles of Confederation? Okay, that's a great question there. We have two different things. So let me go back to the original idea there. The teenager came to the UN to talk about like climate change and stuff. And that's what she was there for. And, so that's what she was there for. Obviously, you have a lot of, yes. And there's a lot of people, when you're talking about the UN, there's a lot of countries and how much we can control in other places, how much you can control some of these greenhouse emissions and other things. That's, you could have a whole stream on that there, and I'm probably not the best person for that there because I probably don't have the amount of knowledge that like maybe a science teacher would or whatever. I just read what I can about it. Why was it so difficult to pass things under the Articles of Confederation? Do they want their government to change much? What are they afraid of? What did they just fight against? Just years before, what did they fight against? A strong what? Right. They just fought against a strong central government, right? A limited monarchy, right? A limited constitutional monarchy being Britain, the king and parliament. They don't want a lot of change. Okay. Our Constitution doesn't make it easy later on to change. Okay. The point is that they wanted to not be an overbearing government that can, the forefathers didn't want a government that was involved in so many different areas. They wanted a government that was small, right? What are they upset about? They're upset about all the what? About the taxation, right? All those acts, right? And they don't want a government that can control them like that again, right? Would they even recognize our government today? Some people are saying that the Congress and everybody doesn't do enough. Would many of our founding fathers maybe be even completely shocked at how many powers the government has today? Right? What event made sure that everybody knew what was dominant? Let's see, this is way ahead. So what event made sure everybody knew that the federal government was over states? What event? And it has been since. And you could, okay, in the future here, not at, we're in the 1780s in this one here. The Civil War, nice. That has settled this debate. There is no debate whether the federal or states are supreme here. The federal was supreme. That was one of the arguments of the South, that they could leave, that it wasn't a big deal, that they made the federal government. All right, let's take a look at some of the big arguments of the Constitutional Convention here. How would representation be? How would slavery be handled? How would slaves be counted for representation, ratification, and how would rights be guaranteed? These are our big topics here. Okay, so how would these things be done? Okay, let's get a little question again from another one of our students here, Sadie.
Hi, my name is Sadie, and I'm a junior. And my question is, how did the Constitution fix some of these issues?
Okay. How did the Constitution fix some of these issues? All right. So you have all these people afraid of all these changes, right? Oh, okay. Some people are bringing up some other things here. Blue against red. Are you talking about things today? Or what are we talking to there in terms of the blue against red here? I'm just kind of looking at some comments. Every once in a while, I try to catch up on the comments. I'm sorry if I don't catch up on them quick enough there. Okay. Okay, north versus south. Okay, good. Okay. All right, good. All right, so what happens is that the first situation is representation. How are you going to have representation here with the new government? We know that first Articles of Confederation is weak. Does anybody remember there used to be Hefty commercials at one time, Hefty being like the garbage bags, and they used to go, wimpy, 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 Hefty, Hefty, Hefty. And the first one, do you remember that there? So the first one was was a bag, and it would rip, and then the better garbage bag was the Hefty, and it could take all those. Does everybody remember that? Okay. And in terms of it there, in terms of that there, that's a big one there, that this Hefty, 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 wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. So talking about this here, we have this for the articles, it was what you would say wimpy, okay? Wimpy, wimpy, wimpy. And they don't want to go to where it's too hefty, hefty, hefty. All right, so taking a look here at some of these here. Okay, so the Virginia plan, let's talk about that first there. Proposed by James Madison. It's a large state plan based on population of Congress. Congress made up of 3 branches. Okay, Congress made up of 3 branches. Let me go back to this. It's kind of hard for me to read here. All right. And going through this here, based on population. So who wouldn't like this, that it's all based on population? The New Jersey plan wouldn't, the smaller states wouldn't like that, right? So the small colonies, good. They wouldn't like that because it's all going to be based on how many people you have. So the New Jersey plan is by a guy named William Patterson. It favored small states. Everybody has equal. Well, so you have one based on population, one based on everybody having equal. What they're eventually going to do is have a great compromise. Does everybody see that column there? So you're going to have this great compromise. And here with this great compromise, I keep moving it ahead, I'm sorry, is it's going to be a great compromise there. House based on population, Senate equal representation, more important compromise, bicameral Congress. That means what? 2 what? Okay, right? 2 homes there. Okay, 2 House of Representatives there. Okay, so that's going to be a big one there. All right, and going through this here, the bicameral is going to answer a lot of these things. So the House is going to be based on population, and the Senate is going to be equal. So every state, we have 50 states. So how many senators do we have? There would be 100 senators, right? And then the House of Representatives is based on population. And so, you know, a state like Wyoming with a very small population, I believe, has 1 House of Representative member out of the, 435. The state I live in here, Illinois, it's always a big issue there with Illinois here. All right, so Ben, it keeps putting a lot of strange things on. So we are going to say bye to Ben. Bye, Ben. Okay. And so I'm not sure why, but okay. Ben is seems lonely tonight. But anyways, so Cook County, all right, a lot of people putting in, you know, well, what this county is kind of known for there, we have a lot of politicians in jail. I will. And so we have quite a few politicians, unfortunately, in jail. Let's go through some more things here. So what is the big, so you have the big state plan, you got the small state plan, and then eventually the Connecticut Compromise, the Great Compromise is going to fix this. You're going to have bicameral Congress, you're going to have the 3 branches, you're going to have a Supreme Court, you're going to have a House based on population and a Senate. So we're getting the foundation of our Constitution. All right. So let's continue on here. Okay, slavery. Slavery is going to be a big issue here. So there were abolitionists. Okay, there were abolitionists. You know, at this time, a lot of people looked at the Declaration of Independence and they saw the hypocrisy in it, right? All men are created what? Equal, right? All men are created equal, yet what is very common, especially in the southern states? Slavery. So, you know, that's going to be a big one there. So some abolitionists wanted to abolish and end slavery and the vast slave trade. Many delegates worried about the South may leave the convention. Slavery does not appear in the Constitution and is actually put off, I believe, until 1808 is what the year that they wanted to talk about that. Don't quote me on that one there. But much later on, delegates agreed on that. They were afraid that what would happen if they started talking about slavery. What were they afraid of there? That then it would kind of break apart, that this constitutional convention would not happen here. There was a tax on slaves that was agreed upon. All right, let's stop here for a second. Any questions there? Okay, Draymond, what is the BOPHA there? Okay, is that from, not sure what that one is there. Mike, am I not giving you knowledge there? You say, Will, give us some knowledge. We do want to hear from Will, though, too. I hope I'm giving you some knowledge, too. Okay. Oh, boy. All right. So, all right, let's take a look here. Okay. Thanks, Mike. All right. So let's go through here and let's take a look here. So we have northern states argued slave population should not be counted, right? Did the South give them, like the rights of a citizen? No. So southern states, though, argued that their slave population should be counted. So the Connecticut Compromise that we just learned about was the first bit of compromise here. So taking a look at it here, we're going to be going through a couple of these things here. So we have that southern states argued to have slave population counted. Southern states would get more delegates in the House of Representatives and more electoral votes for presidency if you counted all the slaves. The northern states didn't want that. And so one of the big parts of this is the compromise of the 3/5 compromise, which counted slaves in 3 out of 5. So they had 5 slaves there, they would count as 3. Sometimes you'll hear things like 3/5 of, obviously this is, a very difficult topic in American history when you're talking about slavery and the horrible history of slavery and racism and all those things in our country. And so it's kind of hard to, talk about, but these are some of the issues. For the North, what it's about is it's about representation. They think that the South will be too strong and have too much influence if they get to count all their slaves. All right, let's hear about the fight over ratification. Here's a little question.
Hi, I'm Rihanna. I'm a junior. And how did the Federalists get the Constitution ratified?
Okay, good question there. All right. Your teacher told you that Mike Hawk was important there. Uh-oh, am I falling for another one? Is this like the Joe Mama one? And so first off, I don't know. When you're looking at the side, things come and go. Okay, so all right, now we have maybe we had a lot of interesting names there. Anyways, in terms of it here, the fight over ratification, right? Let's take a look at this here. Going through here, we have Federalist versus Anti-Federalist. Okay, Federalist versus Anti-Federalist. So in this corner, we have Alexander Hamilton. We have James Madison, John Jay. They are Federalists. They are going to go against people who they were close with, people who they were on the same side during the American Revolution, right? Patrick Henry, right? What did he say? Give me liberty or give me what? Death, right? We have Samuel Adams, okay? Samuel Adams, another huge figure during the, has anybody ever seen the HBO series? It's probably about 6 or 7 years old now. John Adams, has anybody seen that? It goes along with a very good book as well there that was first. Okay, good. You read the book? Yep. I have to grade that too. I'm sorry, Omar. And so you watch some short clips. All right. What is great about that one is you can see that Samuel Adams is the bigger figure than really John Adams at the time. Samuel Adams is kind of like the guy who's, leading that early movement there. And, he's kind of seen as more of a, as a rebel than John Adams in lots of ways. And so people want to know more about Samuel Adams. John Hancock, right? Of course, he writes his signature, the largest on the Declaration of Independence. That Declaration of Independence, what are those people committing at that point? We might have gotten rid of Ben there. Phil, this is Ben. Okay, so I forgot what my question was with that. All right, so let's take a look here. We have the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists. Let's take a look here. So the Federalists, they think the articles are weak. Could this definitely be some type of essay question? Could this be a long essay question? Could this be a long essay question? Could it be a DBQ in some ways? The DBQ, this period would be the first eligible period here. So, other things they want is a strong central government. The Anti-Federalists, they like the articles. They have the weak central and strong state. What are we seeing the making of? Even though this compromise is going to happen, we are going to have the United States of America. What are we seeing the beginning of? And it's going to happen. You're going to kind of have Hamilton on one side and eventually Jefferson on the other side. What are we seeing the beginning of? Our what in this country? We have it today still. What type of government there? We have democracy, government. Okay. So these vastly different ideas here. What do you think? Representative government. What we have, we do have the beginnings of our republic. There's no doubt about that. We also have somewhat of the beginnings of our two-party political system. Okay, that's what I was kind of looking for. It's not here yet. We have this argument. We're going to have one nation, and I'm going to talk about some of these other things here. So about them, Federalists were mostly wealthy property owners. We have mostly small farmers, shopkeepers, laborers were the Anti-Federalist. Okay, good question there. What are the two parties at the time? Well, eventually what we're going to have is this Federalist group. Okay, so the Federalist group, everybody got that? And then on the other side are going to be the Jeffersonian Republicans. The Jeffersonian Republicans. So that is around, that's going to be really during John Adams, during his presidency, our second president. So let's talk more about this here. So we have the Federalist Papers. They support it. They are writings by people like John Jay, Alexander Hamilton. Powers need to be strengthened. Strong national government. Men of talent should rule. They feared the mobocracy. They put protections in there. Some people would say things like the Electoral College is a little bit of a fear of mobocracy. National government should protect rights. Those are all part of it. Jeffersonian Republicans, yes, are basically the Anti-Federalist in many ways, yes. Eventually there's going to be compromise. We're going to have one constitution, but then Washington is going to be able to keep everything together. It's after Washington in which these two parties are going to have these issues here. Anti-Federalist, they thought that a strong national government threatened them, that the Constitution lacked a Bill of Rights, so eventually a Bill of Rights is going to be added. They argued against the 2/3 ratification, thought it was too easy. They also opposed omitting God. So that's a little bit different. So the Anti-Federalists, not 100% the Jeffersonians. We'll talk more about that in a little bit, though. Some nice insight, though. Definitely. Thank you. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, so the Federalist. So we talked about some of these things, the Federalist Papers. We talked about who they were written by. Again, they want a strong central government. That's what they want. Okay, is everybody with me? Okay, and again, a lot of people would be worried okay, about this strong central government, okay, that they were afraid that it was going to take away their rights. All right, let's take a little look at a quote from the Federalist Papers. Let's take a look here. The authorities essential to the common defense are these: to raise armies, to build and equip fleets, to prescribe rules for government of both, to direct their operations, to provide for their support. These powers ought to exist without limitation. So what are we talking about here? So this is from Alexander Hamilton. And what is he concerned about? That the articles can't what? What is he concerned about? I like the question about Washington's influence. See, Washington is such a big figure. And so he is, you know, they always say every president comes in, right? And they say that they want to be bipartisan. Do you know what does bipartisan mean? Everyone says it. Every president comes in and says they're going to reach across the aisle, that they are the bipartisan person that somebody's looking for. Yes. Okay. That they will reach out to the opposing party, right? And really, Washington may have been our only truly bipartisan president, because in his cabinet, he selected people like Alexander Hamilton as his Secretary of Treasury. But then he also has his Secretary of State, who has a very different view of this government in the world. Who's his Secretary of State? They don't like each other at all. But Washington likes them both and allows them both to be in his cabinet. Does anybody know who? I saw his name mentioned earlier. Okay. So who would be the other one there? So the other one would, of course, be Secretary of State would be Thomas Jefferson. So you have Hamilton, you have Jefferson, all in his cabinet, and they don't like each other at all. Okay. So in some ways, you could kind of say that. All right. Now, some of the Anti-Federalists, I just did this for fun here. Okay, because some of the Anti-Federalists include Patrick Henry, Samuel Adams, George Clinton, not this George Clinton with Atomic Dog. Okay, I think his nickname is the Godfather of Funk. Okay.
Yeah, this is a story of famous dog.
I don't know, were they hitting people? I just played it real quick here. So Atomic Dog. All right. Again, they worried about protecting freedoms. They're afraid the Constitution would create too strong of a federal government here. All right. Ratification. Let's continue on here. A long process. Okay. It's so laggy, is it? Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. I think it's, just when I play a video or anything. Like right now, everything fine? Everybody on the ratification slide and everything? Okay, I just tried to throw in a little music every once in a while or something. Okay, all right. A long process. Okay, we're talking 2.5 years for all 13 states to ratify. Each delegate had to get approval from their state's legislature. The preamble emphasizes we the people. What they want to make sure is when they start this new government, that everyone knows that it was the people's agreement here, okay? And it was mostly done through compromise. The Bill of Rights is added to protect individual rights. People were afraid that these rights would be trampled on by this new, stronger central government. Washington is going to face many tests there as our first president. France and England are both kind of trying to get America involved in their wars and their conflicts. And he's trying to stay out of the French Revolution and any result of that. I would say that one of Washington's biggest accomplishments is he did not bring America into a war, the United States of America into a war that we were not ready for. So we had just fought the American Revolution. And you could say that both England and France were at times doing things that, you know, could have brought us to war, but he definitely tried to avoid that. The election of 1800 is another huge test. That's when we have these official political parties here that are going to be a big thing. All right. And I think this is our last slide. Let's take a look at it. Okay. So weak central government as shown by Shays Rebellion. Financial downturn difficult on Western farmers after the American Revolution. Articles of Confederation had many weaknesses, so that's what the calls for the Constitutional Convention. We had arguments over ratification, how many people, you know, in terms of representation, how were they going to count slaves, what were they going to do with the issue of slavery. You had your fights between Anti-Federalists and Federalists. People who used to be on the same side are now fighting, and the final result, you know, includes many tests, past, present, and future for the Constitution of the United States of America. All right, so how do we do here? Are there some questions here? You know, we had some goofiness in here a little bit. That's fine. Some people asked earlier about baseball. I'm a Cubs fan, and so baseball ended for me when they got swept by the St. Louis Cardinals about a week and a half ago. That kind of did them in, and kind of I may check out the games a little bit here and there, but I don't really have a huge rooting interest here once the Cubs are removed there. I do like the city of Milwaukee. That's where Fiveable is stationed and is located, so I may check that out. And I don't know how they're doing here tonight. Other questions here? Anybody have any questions for me here? We have a lot of other good ones coming up here. Later on this week, we have a Washington one, all about George Washington and his presidency. So hopefully you will tune in with Nicole Johnston for that one later on this week. All right. I hope this was good. I hope this was informative. I hope you have all the reasons why they had to replace the articles. I hope you understand that there were lots of debates when we did get this Constitution. And I hope you understand that there's a lot of debates still with the Constitution, right? Can I go into more depth about Shays Rebellion? Sure. Okay. Back to Shays Rebellion here, really. You know, what that was is that was a farmers' revolt because they are angry that this horrible economic downturn has happened, and that, you know, they feel like this is complete garbage, that many of these people fought for this new government, and now they're losing their homes, their wife and kids, and everybody have been foreclosed upon. Some, where they were out battling the British, they come home and they find out that their wife and kids, and they would often, the banks would sell. If you don't know about foreclosure, the banks don't want to own that. So they would maybe sometimes sell it at like 1/3 the price there. All right. And so that was a big part there of Shays Rebellion there. And so it's basically a large mob of farmers who are angry at what happened with the financial downturn. In any financial downturn, are you going to wind up having some groups and some disarray and some people who are not happy with the government's handling of the situation? Of course. So we're going to have those things. What happens is that it is going to fall apart. There is going to be some violence, and there is going to be a very noticeable need for a stronger central government. All right. All right, everyone. So, all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And so hopefully you learned a lot here. We're going to wrap up here now. And thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Okay. Thank you. All right. Bye, everyone. All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.